Is Bill Russell really the greatest player? Bill Russell's passing made me interested in researching why some people think of him as the true greatest NBA player. Warning, I'm a millennial, but the older type, as in I'm an 80s baby. So this means I'm over 2 decades from Bill's reign and prime. However, from experience, I understand that Bill is considered great for the many following reasons. Having the most championships in NBA history and North American sports history overall, tied with NHL's Henry Richard, 2 consecutive NCAA championships in 1955 and 1956, winning the gold medal with the U.S. national basketball team at the 1956 Summer Olympics, stopping another arguable GOAT in Wilt Chamberlain, only losing a championship series in only 2 of his 13 seasons, coaching while being an active, productive player, being a civil rights activist, let alone in his prime, including participating in the 1963 March on Washington with Martin Luther King Jr. for civil rights, leading a protest in 1961 by refusing to play after several black players were refused service at a coffee shop, and defending Muhammad Ali's refusal to serve in the military at the 1967 Cleveland Summit, being essentially the first black NBA superstar, being inducted into the Hall of Fame as a player and coach, being the first black coach in the NBA, being the first black coach to win a championship, being the first player in NBA history to average more than 20 rebounds per game for an entire season, having 3 of the top 4 rebounding games ever, having 51 rebounds as well as 49 rebounds 2 different times, averaging 22.5 rebounds a game for his entire career, grabbing a record 32 rebounds in a single half, grabbing an NBA Finals record 40 rebounds 2 different times, supposedly having the most or second most blocks per game, but they weren't tracked officially when he played, having the NBA Finals MVP award named after him, being the first of only 4 players in basketball history to win an NCAA championship and an NBA championship back-to-back, demanding $100,001 in salary after learning that Wilt Chamberlain made $100,000 in 1965. And I'm pretty sure I heard Wilt say that Bill's his idol in an interview on YouTube somewhere. In 13 years, Bill Russell was a part of a team of 7 Hall of Famers every year from 1956 to 1968, including 8 Hall of Famers in the 57-58 season, 60-61, 61-62, 63-64, and 66-67 seasons, plus 9 Hall of Famers in the 1962-63 season. And there were only 6 Hall of Famers on his last year's team in 1968-69. That collective list of Hall of Famers includes Bob Cousy, Frank Ramsey, Arnie Rison, Bill Sharman, Tom Hyson, Andy Phillip, Sam Jones, Carl Braun, John Havlicek, Casey Jones, Tom Sanders, Clyde Lovelet, John Thompson, Don Nelson, Wayne Embry, Bailey Howell, and of course Bill Russell himself. So the point is, that's a lot of help. Surely Bill made a lot of those guys look good, but how can we say he couldn't have done it without them? Forget about the competition of the time argument. The game has always been beat the team in front of you. Bill's done that the most ever, and he only somehow failed to win in the 57-58 season and 66-67 season. Bill also coached while playing during his last 3 seasons, which I don't get why more players aren't allowed to do, seeing as Bill won 2 chips those years. If it's about adding weight to a win, give Bill more rings for dominating Wilt's team so many years, let alone having other all-time superstars on those teams such as Jerry West and Elgin Baylor. I'm fine adding some more weight to Michael Jordan's rings for beating all the other greatest centers ever, not named Russell or Chamberlain, but it still won't add up to Bill's weighted total, even if you do all that. And Kobe seems to always get ignored when I feel like he did something harder than MJ did, which is win 2 chips with low help and even harder competition. But that's a different video I got ready. So honestly and respectfully, I don't care to argue if Bill is the greatest. I'd rather make it a point to educate people on how difficult a time it was for Bill to just play ball. He dealt with racism that a lot of people would get canceled for today. Bill's house was broken into and vandalized in Massachusetts, the state where Boston is. The criminals reportedly tagged his walls with racist graffiti, damaged his trophies, and shit on his beds. A famous Bill Russell quote is, "I thought of myself as playing for the Celtics, not for Boston." These comments match how I feel about sports in general. Why are teams attached to random geographies, especially when the residents aren't a part of the team management or the team isn't really invested in the community? Not to mention that fans can be anywhere. How is it fair that Virginia or South Carolina or even Bridgeport, Connecticut all don't have their own team? And how does the location concept even make sense when a team like the Hawks changed cities 4 different times in history? Plus, there was also a different franchise in Iowa called the Waterloo Hawks that lasted only a season in the NBA. Eliminate all that confusion by eliminating locations from teams, period. Anyway, yeah. Bill had his life and family safety to worry about, not just basketball. That's a whole different added pressure that isn't fair for only him to deal with, on top of executing a play on the court and living his regular life off the court. And he didn't ask for the Celtics to be based in Boston. I'm sure he would have better preferred San Francisco, where he played college ball, or even Monroe, Louisiana, where he's from. So let me close this out by saying salute to Bill Russell. Acknowledge all his accolades, count up all his available stats, remember him as the greatest winner. But keep in mind his off-the-court legacy and influence too.